What do we learn from the invasion and occupation of Iraq?
Well, I think there are two separate questions. I think the overthrow of Saddam remains unquestionably the right decision. I think certainly in 2020 hindsight, I would have turned authority over to Iraqis much more quickly and reduced the American presence there much more quickly.
Could we have done that? I've often thought of that. Could we have turned it over to Ahmed Chalabi and the Iraqi National Congress and just walked? I just said, here's your baby. We got rid of your guy. The problem with that, sir, is that we didn't catch Saddam Hussein for several months. So could we have left without catching him?
No, I think we had to do that, and we did that. But when that occurred, then I think what we should have done was require the Iraqis to make the hard political decisions. I think by...
Did you say that at the time?
I was not that much involved in the Iraq debate, as I say in the book.
But did you say that at the time?
Secretary Powell cut me out of it because he was worried that I had a different point of view than he did.
But did you have that point of view that you shared with your colleagues, that we should get out at that time?
I have always felt that. I don't think Republicans are any better at nation building than Democrats.
This idea that we could have limited airstrikes against Iranian nuclear facilities. But that's not some Nintendo war. We start a war, we start bombing and killing Iranians, we hand them their very own 9/11. And that's all kinds of trouble.
Everything's on the table, but is it really? If we do attack the nuclear facilities where we think they are in Iran, doesn't that open up Hezbollah to attack us up and down the Americas? Doesn't that open up all kinds of possibilities in that region?
Well, I don't think anybody wants to resort to military force, but life is about choices. And if the choice is between a nuclear-capable Iran and the targeted use of military force against its nuclear facilities, I think you have to look at it. It's not a happy prospect. I wish we weren't in this position.
Are we better off attacking Iran or having Iran have nuclear facilities?
I think we're better off attacking the capabilities that Iran currently has, being the central banker for international terrorism. Imagine how much worse it's going to be once they have a nuclear weapon.
Now, I got to get in here because one of the lessons from Iraq is that we have to listen to our military advisors. And military leaders are telling us it's a bad idea to go to war in Iran.
Some are, some aren't.
No, I'm going to look. I'm sorry. No, I'm looking at General Abizaid, who was the head of Central Command, and he says it's better to not go to war with Iran, even if it means that they get nuclear weapons.
Let's consider that. It is not for military leaders to make political decisions.
They're not making decisions.
And
as
for General Abizaid saying we can live with a nuclear Iran, that is saying that the threat of nuclear terrorism is in the hands of Mahmoud Ahmadinejad, of whom Dan Gillerman, the Israeli ambassador to the UN, said we have a regime that denies the... Let me just finish 1 second, please. Now, I wish we had been working on regime change for the last 4 years. Then we might not face this very difficult choice.
What do you mean by regime change? That phrase is new to me in the last couple of years. What does it mean?
I think there's enormous dissatisfaction inside Iran with this regime. I think it's more...
But they had an election. We got to live with these. You're part of the administration that believes elections offer some deliverance from unpleasant realities when, in fact, they keep electing the people we don't like.
That was never my position. That was
But the administration's position is elections are magic.
Indeed, that is the administration position. It's not mine. There's enormous economic dissatisfaction in Iran. The mullahs have made hash of the economy since the Islamic Revolution. The young people, who are nearly 70% of the population, under 30, know they could have a different...
What happens if we attack that country by air and we blow up their suspected nuclear sites, and we kill a few people? That always happens. Do you think that the civilian, the secular population of that country, the secular people, do you think they'll turn against us?
I think it's very important if we have to use military force, and I stress again, this is a last resort, but if we do have to use military force, we should accompany it with a very extensive effort at regime change and public diplomacy.
Well, won't that be counterproductive because they will unite against us, won't they?
To persuade people that this is against the regime, not against the people. I think the Iranian people are smart enough to see that distinction.
The trouble with neoconservatives is...
I'm not a neoconservative.
No, the trouble with you people who take this position is you ignore nationalism. You always ignore it. You ignore the fact there will be a resentment of our occupation of Iraq. You ignore the fact there are people in Iran who don't like the mullahs, who would like to come to school here and go to Michigan State and be engineers, who resent the idea of us telling them what to do. You always ignore the tribal aspect.
I think
don't you?
Yes.
You won't admit it here.
Normally, I'm the one who's accused of being excessively nationalistic, so I think I understand what nationalism is. The key here is that the mullahs have been pursuing nuclear weapons for nearly 20 years. If you had regime change, there's every prospect that a new, truly democratic government would give up the pursuit of nuclear weapons, as South Africa did.
Your response.
We're not in the position to do this. We cannot use military force. It's counterproductive for us. The pain to it for us is so great. And therefore, the other point of it is we don't need to. Iranians are not anti-American.
Okay, let me ask you, would you rather have an Iran that hated us a little less because we haven't attacked their nuclear facilities and they have nuclear weapons, or a country that really hates our guts because we got rid of their nuclear weapons? Which one would you like?
They're not anti-American. There's plenty of support.
They won't
for the
be after an
US
attack by us?
And that's what we shouldn't, that's another lesson from Iraq. We shouldn't
What would you rather have? You made it clear you'd rather have an Iraq that's a little more ticked at us than having nuclear weapons. You believe that their nationalism wouldn't rebuild those weapons. They wouldn't just come right back at us again.
I give the Iranians more credit than you do. I think they're smart enough to understand that an attack against the nuclear program is not directed against them. And this could well...
Do you find this in any poll data?
Foment, I don't think...
Do you find any evidence that the Iraqi people don't take an attack on their country, their sovereign territory, as an attack on their people?
I think people
Where do you get this evidence from?
This regime inside Iran intensely, and I think making it clear this is an attack on the regime gives us the opportunity to help overthrow it.
But you've always thought this about everything over there.
No,
you always believe this.
This is why...
You believe we'd be greeted as liberators. You believe that this country was going to be on our side once we decapitated Saddam Hussein.
No, I always felt that getting out as soon as we had done it, as soon as practical, as soon as we had eliminated whatever WMD capability was the way to do it.